Sign number 4. There's no support, just competition. A healthy relationship is supposed to be your corner, your soft place to land. It's where you get cheered on when you win and comforted when you lose. In a toxic relationship, it's the exact opposite. Instead of a teammate, you've got a rival. This total lack of support is one of the clearest signs that a relationship is just bad for you. With a partner, this looks like them constantly downplaying your wins. You get home, thrilled about a new opportunity at work, and instead of a high five you get, "Oh, does that mean you'll be working even more?" Or they immediately change the subject back to themselves. They might call your dreams cute little hobbies, and when you're having a tough time and just need to vent, they're nowhere to be found, telling you to just get over it. It sends a very loud message. Your life and your feelings just aren't that important. This happens all the time in toxic friendships, too. A real friend is your biggest fan. A toxic friend sees your success as their failure. You share some good news, and they hit you with a backhanded compliment or immediately try to one-up you. You tell them you ran your first 5K, and they say, "Oh, that's cute. I'm actually training for a marathon." There's no real joy for you, just a constant, low-key contest. They might even give you advice that's just criticism in disguise, designed to make you doubt yourself. Within a family, this can be a lifelong pattern. It might be the parent who never says "good job" because your achievements aren't what they pictured for you. You could earn a PhD, and they'll still ask when you're going to settle down and get a real job. Or it's that sibling rivalry that never really ended, where everything is a competition. In these families, you learn to keep your good news to yourself, because you know it'll be met with jealousy or a shrug. You also learn not to share your problems, because you'll just be told you're being dramatic. The result of all this, you feel incredibly lonely and your self-worth takes a knock. When the people who are supposed to have your back are constantly tearing you down, you start to wonder if you're worth anything at all. You might even stop trying to achieve things, because it hurts too much to have them dismissed. You start to feel invisible, like your inner life doesn't matter to anyone, and that is a deeply unhappy way to go through life. Sign number 5. You're isolated and your world keeps getting smaller. This next sign is scary because of how quietly it happens. A toxic person, whether they know they're doing it or not, will try to cut you off from everyone else, your friends, your family, your hobbies until they are the only thing in your life. This makes you more dependent on them and way harder to leave. In a romantic relationship, it might start with little digs about your friends. "I just don't think Sarah has your best interests at heart," or "your family is so needy. They always want something." These comments plant little seeds of doubt. Before you know it, they're creating a tense atmosphere whenever you have people over. So, you just stop. They might pick a fight every time you want a night out with your friends, until it's just easier to stay home. They make you feel guilty for having a life outside of them, acting like it's a betrayal. In a toxic friendship, this happens when a friend becomes possessive. They get moody or passive-aggressive when you hang out with other people. They might spread gossip about your other friends to try and drive a wedge between you. This best friend doesn't want you to have a support system. They want to be your one and only, which gives them all the power. You find yourself turning down invitations just to avoid the inevitable drama with them. Even families can do this. Some families act like a fortress, with an unwritten rule that outsiders are bad news. They might guilt you for moving away for a job or for building a life that's independent from them. To them, wanting independence feels like a betrayal. Loyalty is everything, and anyone outside the family circle is treated with suspicion. The whole point of isolation is to make you easier to control. When you're cut off from other people's opinions, your idea of normal gets completely warped. Their weird, toxic reality becomes your reality. There's no one on the outside to say, "Hey, the way they talk to you is not okay." You also lose the support system you'd need if you ever decided to leave. The result is a devastating loss of your own identity. You might look up one day and realize you've dropped all the hobbies you used to love because they didn't approve. Your world, once filled with different people and interests, has shrunk down to just this one person. This leaves you feeling trapped and deeply, deeply alone, even when they're sitting right next to you. Sign number 6. You always feel like you're in debt. In healthy relationships, people do nice things for each other just because they care. There's a natural give and take. In toxic relationships, everything is a transaction. There's an invisible scoreboard hanging in the air, and every single favor, mistake, and apology is carefully tracked. It leaves you feeling like you're constantly in debt and never quite good enough. A partner who keeps score will never, ever let you forget a mistake. Every single argument is a chance to bring up that stupid thing you did 2 years ago. They use your past slip-ups as a weapon to make sure you always feel like you're the one who's wrong, and favors, They're not favors, they're loans. If they do something nice, they will make sure you know about it, and they will expect to cash in that favor later. It's not a partnership. It's a constant negotiation where you always feel like you're behind. This is super common in toxic friendships, too. You have that friend who is constantly reminding you of that one time they helped you out. They'll say things like, "Well, remember when I helped you move? I need you to drop everything and help me right now." Every kind act comes with an invisible "you owe me" attached. They might also keep a running tally of who texts first, who pays for more coffees, or who listens to more problems. It turns a friendship into a stressful game where you're always afraid of being called out for not doing your part. In families, this emotional debt can be a tradition. A parent might hold the fact they paid for your college over your head forever, using it to justify why you have to do what they say. Love and support aren't free gifts. They're conditional, and they can be taken away if you don't perform correctly. They keep a list of your failures and their sacrifices, making you feel a sense of guilt and duty that's almost impossible to shake. What this does is kill all the real connection in the relationship. You can't do something nice just to be nice, because you know it's being recorded on the score. And you can't accept a nice gesture without feeling the weight of what you'll owe them later. Real forgiveness can't happen, because mistakes are never forgotten, they're just saved as ammunition. This creates a huge power imbalance. The person who acts like they're always the giver gets to be the good one, leaving you always feeling like you have to apologize and make things up to them. It's a brilliant way to control someone, because it makes them feel like they're always falling short. That's not love, it's accounting. Sign number 7, you don't feel like yourself anymore. This last sign is probably the most heartbreaking, because it's what happens when all the other signs have done their damage. After months or years of this, you look in the mirror and have a shocking thought. I don't know who I am anymore. You feel totally disconnected from the person you used to be. Your personality, your confidence, your dreams, they've all been worn down and replaced by a version of you that was built just to survive this relationship. This is the end result of all that walking on eggshells. Taking the verbal hits, being controlled, feeling unsupported, and being isolated. You've spent so much energy trying to be who they wanted you to be that you've completely forgotten who you are. The hobbies that used to light you up are gone, either because they made fun of them or you were just too emotionally wiped out to do them. Your own opinions have gone quiet. You might find yourself just automatically agreeing with them because it's just easier than fighting. You've been silent for so long, you're not even sure what you think anymore. Your biggest goals in life have been put on a shelf, dismissed as silly or unrealistic until you started to believe it. It's a terrifying and lonely feeling. You might just feel empty or numb, like you're an actor playing a part in your own life. Your self-esteem is probably shot, ground down by all the criticism. You might have even picked up some of their negativity without realizing it. In a romantic relationship, maybe you've twisted yourself into a pretzel to be their idea of a perfect partner. With a toxic friend, you might realize you've become more gossipy or cynical just to stay in their good graces. In a toxic family, you might have played a role for so long, the peacemaker, the screw-up, the golden child, that you have no idea who you are when you're not playing that part. Losing yourself is the biggest danger of all, because it's what keeps you stuck. When you feel worthless and have no idea who you are, you start to believe you deserve to be treated this way. You think, who else would want me? Or, I could never make it on my own. This is the final turn of the screw, where your own mind becomes the prison. But recognizing this, as painful as it is also your wake-up call. It's the moment you realize that the price of this relationship is your own soul. And that realization is often what gives you the courage to start fighting your way back to yourself. If you've been nodding your head through all of this, feeling that sick feeling of recognition, just take a breath. And please, hear me on this. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. And you are definitely not alone. How you're feeling is a perfectly normal reaction to an unhealthy situation. The fact that you're even watching this means you're already taking a huge, brave step. So, what do you do now? It can feel totally overwhelming, but you don't have to figure it all out at once. It all starts with small steps. First, get honest and write it down. Stop making excuses for their behavior. Just admit it to yourself. This is toxic, and it's hurting me. A game changer here is to start a journal. Write down what happened, how it made you feel, the exact words they used. When you're in it, it's so easy to downplay or forget the bad moment. Having it in writing stops the self-doubt and shows you the patterns. Second, start setting tiny boundaries. Boundaries aren't about changing them, they're about protecting you. And you can start small. You don't need a huge, dramatic confrontation. A boundary can be as simple as saying, I can't talk on the phone after 9 p.m. Or, I'm not going to have this conversation while you're yelling at me. They will almost certainly push back. Your job is to hold firm. You're not trying to pick a fight. You're teaching people how to treat you. Third, reconnect with your people. Remember how isolation is their main weapon. It's time to fight back. Reach out to one good friend or family member you trust. You don't have to spill everything, but just saying, "Hey, I'm going through a tough time," can be a lifeline. Go to a meet for a hobby you used to love. Being around people who make you feel good will remind you what a healthy connection feels like. Fourth, and this one is so important, get professional help. You don't have to fix this by yourself. A good therapist or counselor can give you a safe place to sort through all this and make a plan. They can help you rebuild your confidence, learn how to set and keep boundaries, and figure out what's next. These people are trained for this exact situation, and their support can change everything. And finally, my call to action for you is simple. First, in the comments, share one sign that really hit home for you. Reading through the comments helps everyone feel less alone. Second, commit to taking one small action for yourself this week. Maybe it's that first journal entry. Maybe it's making that phone call to a friend. Or maybe it's just Googling therapists in your area. Getting out of a toxic relationship is a journey. It's not a straight line. There will be good days and really hard days. Be patient and kind to yourself through all of it. Every single step you take for yourself is a step towards getting free. Remember what a relationship should be. It should add to your life, not take away from it. It should make you feel safe, seen, and respected, not anxious, small, and drained. You deserve to be in relationships where you can be 100% yourself without being afraid. You deserve kindness, you deserve support, and you deserve a love that doesn't keep score. Thanks for being here today. You've already done the hardest part, which is looking for answers. Keep going. You are so worth the fight. You know that feeling? The one that's so hard to put a name on. It's that knot in your stomach when you hear their keys in the door. It's that tiny pause you take before sharing good news, because you're not sure if it'll be celebrated or just shot down. It's that constant, low-level anxiety that feels like you're walking on a tightrope, trying not to set off some invisible emotional tripwire. If you know that, feeling that deep down exhaustion that has nothing to do with being tired, then this is for you. Because this isn't what a relationship is supposed to feel like. It's not supposed to leave you feeling drained, small, or like you're forgetting who you are. The thing is, toxic relationships rarely start out toxic. They sneak up on you, wearing a disguise that looks a lot like passion, or intense caring. Or maybe you just tell yourself that's just how they are. And it's not just romantic partners. This can be a lifelong friend, a parent, a sibling. The poison seeps in so slowly that you don't even realize it's there until you just feel sick. Today, we're not just listing the obvious red flags. We're getting real about the 7 subtle, sneaky signs that a relationship in your life has turned toxic. Seeing these signs for what they are is the first, and most important, step to getting your peace back. To getting you back. Sign number 1. You're constantly walking on eggshells. Let's start with that feeling we just talked about, the one that lives in your gut. The constant need to walk on eggshells. This isn't just about trying to avoid a big argument. It's when you are on high alert 24/7, trying to manage the other person's mood. You start second-guessing your words, rehearsing conversations in your head, and changing what you do just to avoid a bad reaction. In a relationship, it could be hiding a new shirt you bought because you're scared of their comment about money. It's avoiding certain topics because you know it'll lead to a massive blow-up or the dreaded silent treatment. You might even find yourself agreeing with things you don't believe, just to keep things calm. You become a detective, constantly reading their facial expressions and tone of voice, trying to stop a fight before it even starts. You never know who you're going to get, the nice version, or the angry one, so you're always braced for impact. With family, this is that classic tense holiday dinner where nobody mentions politics or so-and-so's new tattoo to keep one person from exploding. It's biting your tongue when your mom makes a critical comment about your job, because you know if you say anything, you'll get a week's worth of guilt-tripping phone calls. You start to bury your own opinions and needs, telling yourself it's just not worth the drama. You even make excuses for them, like, oh, he's just stressed, when the truth is you're making yourself smaller so they can have all the space for their emotion. And in a friendship, it's just as bad. Maybe you have that friend who gets offended by everything. You find yourself editing your stories, leaving out your successes because you know it'll make them jealous or insecure. You never say no to their plans because you know they'll take it personally and make you feel terrible about it. The friendship stops feeling like a safe place and starts feeling like a job where you have to constantly perform to keep them happy. Living this way is utterly exhausting. It's a recipe for chronic stress, which shows up in your body as headaches, fatigue, and anxiety. But worse than that, you lose yourself. You can't be authentic when you're so busy managing someone else's feelings. You're essentially living a small lie to keep a very fragile peace. And that's just no way to live. Sign number 2. The communication is designed to hurt. Good relationships are built on communication that's kind and respectful. You can argue and have tough talks, but you still feel safe. In a toxic relationship, the communication is rotten. It's full of patterns that are meant to control, invalidate, and just plain hurt you. And it's not always about shouting matches. Often, it's sneakier than that. One of the worst is constant criticism. This isn't helpful feedback. It's just a non-stop barrage of fault-finding that eats away at your confidence. Your partner might say things like, "You always do that wrong. Can't you do anything right?" Or use a condescending tone when you're just trying to talk about your day. They make fun of your hobbies, your taste in music, or make you feel dumb for having a different opinion. They're not discussions, they're verdicts. And then there's sarcasm's evil twin. These are insults dressed up as jokes. It's the friend who, when you announce your promotion, says, "Wow, congrats." They must be desperate for managers. When you get upset, they hit you with a classic, "God, I was just kidding. Why are you so sensitive?" This move lets them sting you and then blame you for feeling the sting. It's crazy making. In families, this kind of talk can be a lifelong habit. It's the parent who weaponizes guilt, saying things like, "Oh, don't worry about me. I'll just be here all alone while you go have fun." It's the sibling who only gives backhanded compliments, like, "That's a great dress. It's amazing how slimming it is." Every conversation is laced with negativity, leaving you feeling constantly misunderstood or under attack. Another devastating weapon is stonewalling the silent treatment. This is when someone just shuts down and refuses to talk to you as a form of punishment. A partner might ignore you for days over something small, leaving you in a panic, trying to figure out what you did wrong. This isn't just taking space, it's a power move designed to make you feel helpless and desperate for them to notice you again. When you're surrounded by this kind of communication, you start to believe the nasty things they say. You start to think, maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I am always wrong. It kills trust. So you stop opening up. You learn that your feelings will just be used as ammo against you later, leaving you feeling completely and totally alone. Section 3. Sign number 3. They control and manipulate you. Deep down, toxic relationships are all about power. It's not always obvious, like telling you what to do. It's usually a creeping, subtle manipulation that makes you question your own reality and hand over your independence bit by bit. One of the most mind-bending forms of this is gaslighting. This is when someone messes with your perception of reality so much that you start to doubt your own memory and sanity. For instance, they'll do something hurtful, and when you call them out, they'll say, "I never did that. You're making things up," or "You're being hysterical. That's not how it happened at all." Over time, this messes you up. You stop trusting yourself, which makes you lean on them even more to tell you what's real. Control can also be about practical things. A partner might take over all the finances, giving you an allowance or wanting to see every single receipt. They'll say they're just being responsible, but it's really about taking away your freedom. Or they might be super jealous, always asking who you're with or demanding to read your texts. This isn't love. It's a feeling of ownership. They'll mask it as care. "I just worry about you so much," when it's really about keeping tabs on you. In families, control often comes wrapped in guilt. A parent might say, "After all I've sacrificed for you, you can't do this one tiny thing for me." This turns love into a transaction, a debt you can never repay. They might use threats, like withholding approval or affection, to get you to do what they want. You learn that your job is to keep them happy, no matter what it costs you. Even friendships can be controlling. A friend might try to isolate you by making you feel guilty for hanging out with other people. They'll say things like, "I guess you like them more than me," or stir up drama whenever you have plans that don't include them. They might even use your own secrets against you, subtly reminding you of things you told them in private to keep you in line. When you're being controlled like this, you slowly lose your sense of self. You stop making choices based on what you want and start making them based on what will get you in the least amount of trouble. Your world gets smaller and smaller as your freedom disappears. It leaves you feeling powerless, and you might even start to believe you can't survive without them, which is exactly how they trap you.